why am I a feminist? And that's something that is pretty personal. And that took me a long time to realize, because I thought it was just something that it's like, oh, well, this is a really cool movement. It's really empowering and things like that. But it turned into, it helped me realize that I was in some really unhealthy relationships in my life. And it empowered me to get out of those and to look, it's like, well, really, what do you view your self-worth as right now? And what are those relationships doing to help that in your life? And so it kind of turned into something that I didn't know it at the time, but I was in an emotionally abusive relationship. I did not realize that it was, I had been physically assaulted. I did not realize that I had been I had been sexually assaulted many times by different boys starting at the age of 13. And because no one had ever told me that saying no was okay. I was brought up that relationships should be modeled like how Christ treats the church. And it should be a mutually respectful, mutually loving relationship, but that relationship is kind of defined by the gender roles of the church serves Christ in return for his love. And that can really mess with you, especially if you're in 8th grade and the concept of dating somebody, the purpose of dating is that you are trying to find the one person that you are going to marry and spend the rest of your life with. In 8th grade, I was easily taken advantage of, and it's something that was really difficult to deal with. And so I ended that, I was in a relationship with a guy for 1.5 years, and it didn't seem too bad. I thought we ended on amicable terms, and as I thought about the relationship more and more and more, and the more that I learned about feminism, I'm like, oh wow, actually he was not good, and he was actually really terrible, because he did not respect when I said I don't want to have sex. He did not respect when I said that I don't want to see anything of you, I just want to sit here and watch movies. He didn't respect when I said no. It's frustrating to sit there and realize that the relationship that you've been in, the one that you thought was fine, is not. And that he not only destroyed your self-confidence, but also what you perceive as your self-worth. And of course, you know, I went into another relationship. I was floundering. I needed somebody to rely on. He became very manipulative, emotionally abusive, wanted me to be something that I wasn't. And finally, when I broke up with him, he started throwing things, and one of those things happened to be a chair at me. And then, of course, after that, he started crying as I was leaving, and he's like, no, I love you, don't leave me. And so then I stayed for a while, and then we ended up finally breaking up. But it was the fact that I was the violence and sadness, and I didn't understand the connection between those two and how very wrong that was. Feminism gave me the strength to say I've had enough, and it gave me the strength to say that I can't deal with this on my own, and so I'm currently seeing a therapist, dealing with anxiety and depression and all of these other different issues that come from being in multiple abusive relationships. I don't want any other woman or man or whoever you are, however you identify, to deal with the level of self-hatred that comes with an abusive relationship. And that's not something that I knew was wrong until I started studying feminism. And I didn't understand how very important it is and how very oppressed women and men can sometimes be, because feminism is not just about women, it's about men and the toxic gender roles and toxic masculinity that are enforced upon us every day. And that's something that feminism is so personal to me, that's how I found myself again. And that's how I kind of brought myself back up. It's like, oh, this is not an excuse for their actions, but this is the reason why, and this is how we can stop it. Through education, through cutting through those ridiculous abstinence-only laws, and teaching a well-rounded sexual education so that people understand that consent is necessary and important and not something that you waver on, and that a woman's value is inherently hers, and it's not based off of what she wears, what she looks like, how she presents herself. It's inherently present because she is a person and deserves to be respected. Women's right to be viewed as a person is being violated, and that's why I'm a feminist, is because that violation, it can't continue. I took a philosophy class, and as an independent study, I wrote a 27-page research paper on feminist philosophy, and exploring the question of, can a person who holds a pro-life viewpoint in the abortion debate consider themselves a feminist? And one of the nice things about philosophy is it is opinions. It's what you think it is, and everybody thinks everybody else is wrong, but that's why it's kind of fun and it's cool and it's academic. But that academic portion of it is researching feminist theory, philosophy, feminist actual writings and works, rather than just hearing Emma Watson speak and things like that, but seeing the research that goes behind all of those statements and seeing that and doing that for yourself. Like bringing feminism into the classroom, into the academic setting, and not just in like the social media sphere. I think that's really what's going to take the movement to the next level, is having well-educated young people saying it's like, this is wrong because of this and this and this, and we can concisely explain these ideas because we are well-informed and we've written our papers and we've done our research, and this is where we're at. I was really moved by the case of Emma Solkowitz at Columbia University, who was, she was raped in her bedroom, and her rapist had violated many, I believe 3 or 4 women before her. And she went to the appropriate authorities, and they pretty much said, it's like, oh, well, you're lying. He's a part of whatever it is, and this and this and this, and you can't go further with this. So then she went to the police, and then they told her the same thing. And so for her graduate work, she decided that she was going to do a public performance piece. And she was going to carry the mattress that she was raped on around campus until her rapist was expelled from the school and he was off campus. Johnson County, I felt, needed to have a part in that, so I got together as many people that wanted to be a part of it, and we carried our mattress and made a picture, sent it to them, and joined the movement. And so kind of helping in that way, that was my contribution to, it's like, hey, you know, maybe we need to look at all of these things and see, like, well, really, what is happening on our campuses? Like, are we really creating a safe environment for our students to work in, to flourish and thrive? My sexual assaults made it possible for me to publicly say that it's like, hey, I'm a feminist. Because I specifically remember in high school wanting to talk about whatever issue it was. It had to do with, like, a wage gap or something. And it was in story ideas in our newsroom, and I specifically remember saying, like, I don't want to sound like a feminist or anything. And there was a kid in my class, and he looks at me and he's like, being a feminist is not a bad thing. And he's like, it's awesome, like, keep going, keep doing that. It was kind of that turning point that it's like, why am I so embarrassed to talk about this? And it's a lot easier to talk about when it's like you understand why it's so personal and why it's so important. And when it becomes that much more important to you because of that personal experience. And so, yes, there was a time where I was embarrassed to talk about it, but also at the same time, there's a lot that goes on and a lot that happens, and it's a part of growing up, and it happens, and you go from a conservative Catholic, Jesus is my boyfriend type of person to it's like, hey, I'm a feminist liberal, and you need to listen to me because I'm actually saying important things, well, things that I think are important, and plus it's a respectful thing. It's like, please listen to me and I will listen to you. And so, it's this, the whole kind of, it almost like comes from like a self-confidence as well. And at that point, like my self-confidence was extremely low, as it is in your teenage years. And it got to be progressively lower within those relationships. And getting out of that and learning about feminism, I'm like, hey, I'm not as worthless as I thought I was. I that's cool. And so if I can get through that, anything that anybody would tell me that's bad about feminism, that feminism is not a good thing, whatever it is, it's like I've told myself worse. And I'm here, and I'm doing this video, and so that's where I'm at, and it's like I can survive that because I survived everything else.